This will be followed by a special presentation. Proposal for an ethical Olympic and Paralympic Games. We have representative of the Japan Ethical Initiative, Professor Emeritus, the University of Tokyo, and Professor of Tokyo City University, Dr. Ryuji Yamamoto, who will be giving a presentation. Professor Yamamoto, the floor is yours. Thank you very much for the kind introduction. A special presentation is what I'm supposed to give. It almost seems as if I force my way in to make a presentation. That might be the nuance, but I'm honored and happy to be able to speak anyway. Mr. Sueyoshi gave a very good presentation. What kind of an age are we living in? What is the spirit of the times in the 21st century? And what kind of message do we want to communicate to the society? And what is the legacy that we want to leave? I think it's very important that we give some good thought to this. I am a sort of scientist. So when I think about today, there are about 200,000 or so of increase in population going forward. And we are dependent heavily on fossil fuels. So today, 100 million tons of CO2 will be emitted into the atmosphere just today. And in the world, how much material do we use? In one day, 300 million tons of resources will be consumed. Annually, 120 billion tons of resources we are consuming. It's a huge amount. And as a result, what's happening? We're accelerating global warming. In particular, on the surface of the Earth, heat is accumulated, heat energy is accumulated, and 90% of this is being absorbed by the ocean. And the amount of this is, in one day today, what's absorbed in the world's ocean, the surplus heat energy is worth 4 times the atomic bomb which was dropped in Hiroshima. It's worth 400,000 bombs, atomic bombs, which was dropped in Hiroshima. And erosion of the ice sheet in the Arctic and Antarctic is proceeding. Last year in August, according to the European satellite observation, in the Arctic and Antarctic annually, 450 billion tons of ice sheet is eroding, and it's melting into the ocean. And that is a great source of fear for us. In this January, 2 scientists in the United States wrote a paper, and they said that in this century, 1 meter to 3 meter rise in the ocean level will happen before the end of this century. And that is what is about to happen. And we have to give some serious thought to this. And we need to communicate a new message. Looking at the past 20 years and trends in Japan, I think there are 2 major trends. One is the eco town, and the other is the environmental future city. We're seeing such developments throughout the nation. Another major flow is declaration to create welfare cities, to improve welfare, universal design, to promote and penetrate universal design, barrier-free. And fair trade turns is another thing. Fair trade towns is another thing that we want to create. Kumamoto City became a fair trade town. And this year, in March, Nagoya City became the 2nd fair trade town. And Sapporo City is about to follow suit. They are working in that direction. And very clearly in Japan, there's a trend to promote the environmental friendliness, and the other is to incorporate welfare. There are these 2 trends. So naturally, environmental friendly and socially friendly trends should develop into the creation of ethical towns. And that is, I think, a natural development out of all this. Since 2 years ago, in order to promote ethical consumption and to have ethics and morals intervene in the market to rectify the distortions on the market, I've been promoting the concept of ethical consumption and the need to penetrate all of this. And I have been floating different proposals. And fortunately, this resonated with many people. Ethical purchasing or ethical consumption covers a lot of ground. There are different things involved here. The Consumption Agency and the Director General of the agency has led the establishment of an ethical consumption committee. And on the 20th of May, the first committee meeting will take place, and 27 committee members have already been appointed, and I will also naturally be participating in this. And so in Japan, we are going ethical. Last year, on the 31st of May, the Japan Ethical Initiative, it's a voluntary entity. This has been set up by myself. And there are 160 co-founders of this initiative. Firstly, to realize the ethical Olympics, to draw up an ethical purchase guideline, to implement ethical checks, and the degree of ethicality of companies and other entities will be evaluated. These are things that we have set as targets, and we have been making an effort for the past year. On the 30th of May last year, we had a general meeting, and Tokyo Economic University's Professor Watanabe played a central role and has put together an ethical Olympics request, and to the Olympics Committee and to the Tokyo Metropolitan government, the request and recommendation has been submitted. There has been a detailed explanation earlier on. In the London Olympic Games, a very detailed and comprehensive approaches were taken. Responsible sourcing, use of secondary materials, use of recycled material, and comprehensive CSR sourcing and ethical consumption took place in London. What was impressive for me was that, for example, 10 million bananas, fair trade bananas, were supplied during the game. Fair trade coffee and tea was supplied. So to the maximum extent possible, efforts have been made, and that is evident. And Japan needs to reach that level within 5 years, and we need to be able to surpass that level, and we need to target that. That is what we need to do. Ethical Olympic Games is about hospitality and success on 3 fronts. Sustainable economic growth must be made into a sturdy one, and gender objectives, women's status improvement, symbiosis with nature, green procurement, and MSA, ASC certification, FSC certification, ethical organization management. With regard to various events, ISO sustainable event management. There is this international standard, and we have to comply with that. And what I'd like to add, in addition to that, is the gold and silver and bronze medals. This should be made from a recycled material, and that should be made into a symbol. Ritem, a company called Ritem, calculated the following. And I didn't know about this. Gold medals are not pure gold, it's just plated. And if you count 1,000 gold medals, the necessary amount of gold is approximately 5 tons. Approximately 5 kilograms. 5,796 grams or 5 kilograms is approximately what you need. Silver is 735 kilograms, and bronze is 437 kilograms. That's all we need. If we talk in terms of cell phones, gold is used in cell phones. 17 tons would suffice. 17.5 tons. If we collect that many cell phones, we can procure that amount of gold. In the case of digital appliance, 330,000 is what we need. And we feel that this is can be sufficiently supplied. I have 1 more minute, do I? And so, Japan, as you know, I have been involved in eco-project exhibitions, and I have been steering committee chairman for 16 years. And in that capacity, I would say the following. Japan has technology. It can be boast to the world. Lots of these. But we lack the enthusiasm, the desire to promote this. Whether it's a CO2 reduction, if we continue our lifestyles full of greed and continue to reduce CO2, that's a big deal. But if we can live a modest and yet affluent life. We have that tradition. So we should go back to our tradition. And if we leverage state-of-the-art technology, ethical and sustainable, and socially and environmentally sustainable lifestyles can be well communicated to the world. So I hope that Tokyo will become ethical town #1, and these Olympic Games, I hope, will become an ethical Olympic Games in a way which exceeds what London has achieved. The athletes' uniforms should be all ethical fashion clothing, and that is something, one of the things I am promoting. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak. Thank you for your kind attention.
ありがとうございました。
Thank you very much. I have read many of your books, Professor Yamamoto, on CO2. You need the will and you need the desire. And if we have the ambition, I think we can accomplish that.